deck. Okay, so we're just going to take you through today a little bit about us, a little bit about our plans, and then kind of the opportunity as we see it. I think there's you've probably seen bits and pieces. You've probably read some information here and there, but I think this is just quite a nice opportunity just to introduce ourselves and talk about what we have in mind. So we're Freshie. This is Tom and I'm Johnny. We're the founders. We launched the brewery in 2021, known as either Freshwater Brewing or FBC, and our primary thing was to celebrate the Northern Beaches lifestyle through our brands, culture, and people, and obviously our beers. So yeah, as I said, today we're just going to be talking about our brand and our sort of differentiation in the market, the opportunity, how we're kind of tracking along, and then our ask and the bit that you get involved in. So the brand, as I said, we launched in July 2021. While we were looking for a site and then building the brewery, we kind of leaned on some friends to help brew in their spaces. So the likes of White Bay and the Rocks and a few other buddies of ours, whereby we could kind of get the momentum going and start getting the hustle of opening up a brewery. We opened our tap room in 2022 towards the end of the year, and that was the key marker for us in terms of kind of awareness, and also having a spiritual home is always great, because you get closer to your consumer, and sort of if we're saying we're a community brewery, it's just nice to have a place that we can call home. So I guess like a quick thing on what we see as the Freshie difference. Community. You'll hear me say that a bit. So you don't call your a brand a suburb on the Northern Beaches unless you're prepared to kind of live and die by it. So we are very, very focused on our kind of initiatives and charity events and sponsorships of local clubs, but then just the team obviously come from the community, and it's very much a what you get out, what you put in, you get back out. So our style of beers, we're very focused on lagers, but then just holistically, just a crisp, approachable style. So in quite a cluttered market, it's just nice to be able to pick your lane and run it each beer launch. And then the venue again is just a welcoming space that we wanted to stand out. We're lucky enough to be in an area where there are 6 other breweries, and we all play to our strengths. And it was nice just bringing our brand to life in the venue space. So yeah, this is kind of the brand on a page, kind of optimistic, bright, and beachy. When we look at our demographics, this is a key part of who we are and how we talk. There's obviously a lot of good vibes going on in Brookie, so they're kind of upwardly mobile Northern Beaches locals. I think there's a lot of people seeking out, kind of in a post-COVID world, seeking out some entertainment and hopping from venue to venue. Families are a big part of our space and where we fit within the community, and then obviously beer tourists. If you don't get the seal of approval from them, then you've got a bit of work to do. So the opportunity, I guess, like in terms of the last 3 years, we've focused pretty heavily on growing awareness of our brand, particularly in the keg space. When we were trying to get trial, the obvious place to go is when people can try your beer. So we've got quite a few taps pouring, focused almost entirely on the kind of North Shore, Northern Beaches area, with some Newcastle tap points, which is great. And then we're growing in the kind of canned space as well. Even so, difficult market, but we're growing slowly with some decent wins in the last couple of years. So yeah, I think when we've been looking at our mix, our wholesale mix, it's kind of it's the getting momentum and awareness, but not we're certainly not going to be growing exponentially because there are some pitfalls along the way. So I guess in terms of the major focus that we have is our tap room, particularly for this raise. So we're growing that. We're coming up to 3 years in for the tap room, and getting that base level of community and advocacy. But then I think the plan as well then is kind of convert from that loyalty to more of an opportunity for the big days we can convert to an overflow space, but then also we know there's demand for private bookings, and we see the upstairs being a big not just revenue raiser, but also opportunity to grow, particularly with our potential members, that community where people can when the space isn't booked, we'll open it up for some exclusivity and some fun membership events. So this just on a page is kind of, you can sort of see we're tracking in the right direction. You'd hope so. And, our initial revenue for 2024, we started the year strongly. Again, you can just see the splits just between venue is our focus. I think as optimism comes back into the market, we'll hopefully see wholesale grow as well, but we're all about sort of sustainable growth. So what is our ask? The big question. So I guess, we've got a bar space upstairs. It's a 100-seat bar, and we've been sort of working through the compliance for it. And it's very exciting to be able to kind of bring it to life. So that's where the majority of the spend that we're looking for would come in. And then, as I said, what that then builds is, by having people that are, the big reason why we wanted to go down the crowdfund route was to be able to have genuine membership and genuine members of our kind of wider circle using the space. And so, it's there's lots of different ideas, but I think we can go through that at another time. But essentially, it's kind of ready to go in terms of getting the compliance and the seal of approval. And then the canning line, I think there's no surprise that everything's gone up in price in the last few years. From energy to fuel to everything. So how do you maintain margins and not pass them on? I think the big thing we have is just to sort of be in control of our own destiny by having a canning line. Currently, we use a mobile canning line, which works fantastically, but it just means that we have a bit more operational flexibility, which then could open up the idea of contract brewing. We have quite a few smaller players kind of knock on our door asking for the opportunity to use tank space, and we have done a bit here and there, but I think what it does is by having a canning line, you can kind of have an end-to-end service. And then I guess with the increase in revenue, we kind of really take the handbrake off and we can pump it into growing the brand. So that's more or less it. I think in terms of we've kind of laser focused on our ask. This isn't a massive kind of we're going to conquer the world kind of conversation, but it is we're getting ready to go to the next step, and we really hope that we can chat more about what that can involve. So thank you. Mel, do you want to open up to questions?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much, Johnny. That was a really great presentation and background about Freshwater. We have one question. If there's any other questions, or there's a few questions actually, please just don't hesitate to pop them in. So Jono says, you touched on this a little bit already, Johnny, with your focus on community, but Jono's asking, why not just go to a bank?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, that's an obvious thing. I mean, yeah, we probably could have done. I mean, I think what happened was, we looked at what we were prepared to give up and really, loading the business with some more debt. Yeah, great, we could do that. But really, what are we here for? We've got a path to, what our sustainable model looks like, and that very much involves our people. And so we know that we've had, people, like small chats here and there, and we know that there was an opportunity to just reach out to a broader community, and really that's what the Birchal offer is, really. I think, we're not going to be, we're pretty transparent, we're pretty open, and yeah, you could go to a bank, but I think that really, if we can get some more people in our wider circle, also it's a bit of expertise is always nice. Like, it's a small team, we hustle pretty hard, and there's some really, we've had for the last few days, I had some really smart conversations, and it just aligned with where we were at, I guess.
Yeah, I think also we've had quite a few people, like Johnny said, people come in and start to have some chats who are genuinely interested in the brand, and I'd rather have some locals with some expertise in the inner circle than some guy at a bank who just sees this as a number. Like, I think it really is an opportunity for more community growth as well.
Thanks, guys. Another question. Very exciting revenue growth. How do you grow the off-license distribution? Imagine the canning line is a huge opportunity for exponential growth.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking at. The last 3 years have been quite crazy in the world of, we launched in second COVID lockdown in Sydney, and everyone was drinking at home and lots of cans were being sold. And, people are definitely looking at their spend. And so a big part of what we're trying to do with, if we can kind of get to the right price point on cans, like we know there's a lot of love there. And we know that people like our product and like our positioning. So if we can get the pricing where it currently is, but I think that where it currently is, we know we can find some more margin, and kick on, really.
Has DA approval been approved for increased capacity?
It's not. We're not going through a DA. We're going through a CDC. So yes, in principle, it is all ready to go. Because we've got the DA for the main build, and then this is kind of an additional part. So it's a CDC, and we're sort of, to be honest, it's been a big part of my life over the last couple of months. And so, yeah, we know exactly we need to fix two things, and we've got to have compliant toilets and things like that. So there's nothing out of the ordinary. Oh, sorry, too much out of the ordinary. There's always something random.
Does investment get equity in the whole Freshie brand, or is it just in the upstairs bar?
No, sorry. To be clear, it is the whole brand. We're not sort of siphoning it off. It is a simple model, and that's how we're looking at it. It's not like a subsidiary.
So a question here on the competition. Great brand, well done. Andy says, do you believe with all the surrounding competition there is enough room for everyone?
I think, yeah, absolutely. Like, what we found, it was, if anyone who's local and has been to Brookvale, like, more choice and more opportunity is never a bad thing. Well, when we first moved in, there was always a question mark. I think when we started, there was 4 or 5 breweries in Brookvale, and there was, even then, people were like, "Oh, geez, is there enough?" But if you've been to Brookvale recently, if anyone's been down for any of the footy games, there's tens of thousands of people, and people always wanting to be around. And because every brewery offers something a little bit different, every single brewery here has their own take you know, and has their own, you know, everyone's got their brand loyalties as well. People come in all the time, they go, oh, you know, I like the food here, but I like your beer here, and I love the entertainment there, but oh, this is the best place to bring my kids. Everyone's got something different, which I think, like, you know, I think it only helps to grow the area and, you know, entice more people. Before you know it, it's, you know, people choose to come to Brookvale over other, you know, nightlife precincts.
If I was going to give an optimistic answer as well, and I think this is, you know, it makes it hard, but when it comes to competition, it makes everyone better. I actually think that it's sort of sped up. You can't just sit still. You have to kind of figure out your niche. And if you have a week where you're like, why is this not working? You've got to fix it. And so actually competition is great. I think fortunately I've kind of weathered a few storms within the market. I think people kind of get what we're about now. So I think there's growth personally. I think there are plenty of people that still walk in the door going, you guys new? And so, you know, there's definitely growth in the market. How much remains to be seen, but I think also there's efficiencies as well. So yeah, I'm optimistic.
I think that we might leave it there. There's a lot of questions here that refer to the business, but I think you'll find all that information in the offer document. So thanks so much, Johnny and Tom, for such a great presentation. Thanks to everyone for joining today. And as I mentioned earlier, there'll be a recording of this video sent around to everyone who registered in case anyone missed out. The Expression of Interest campaign for Freshwater Brewing is live for another week. So if you haven't already, please jump on the Birchal platform and check out their pitch video and company profile. The early access offer campaign will open on the 1st of April, so make sure you get your expression of interest in to have access to the offer document and all the key terms of the offer before it's open to the public. Thanks again. Happy investing and making dreams come true with Birchal.
Can we just say one more thing?
Go for it.
So obviously it goes without saying, give us a call if you'd like to talk more. But also in the name of community, Tom and I thought we might stand at the bar for a couple of hours on Friday afternoon. So if anyone is in the area and wants to talk more, there's a pretty easy place to find us. So we're pretty transparent. We're open to conversations. So give us a call or come find us.
Terrific. Great call, Johnny. Thanks, Tom.
As well.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.